Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm going to show you how you go from the survey, how you go from the current marketing model tab over to the improved tab with the CBC analysis information. To begin, I am going to go through and delete all the content that we had estimated before that will now be replaced by the CBC analysis information. So here you can see I've deleted everything and moved the key over to give us a little bit more space to work. To set the scene now, we will go to our Discover Survey and click the Survey Data tab. We will go to our CBC analysis button here. It's telling me that 3 of the respondents did not answer all the questions and they'll be omitted. That's fine. Now we're in the survey analysis suite, and we do not need to save that, and we will go to the utilities report, which we'll be using for most of today's video. Here you see all of our different levels for each of the attributes and what each of their part worths were. We'll bring that all over to Excel just by copy and pasting it. Should be pretty easy. Copy and Discover, paste. So here we have all of our information from Sawtooth brought into Excel. We are not, for the purposes of this video here, we're not going to be concerned about these 3 columns, and so we will be clearing those. We can now see that each of the different levels have their utilities here on the right and the levels on the left. However, the levels are currently not represented to Excel in a quantitative form, and so we'll begin by making a table that we can use to interpolate a curve. So I'm just bringing over each of the levels here and copying the utilities on the right. And I will do that for the rest of our attributes as well. As you can see here, I now have each of the levels for each of the attributes quantitatively represented in the left column, and on the right I have each of the utilities. Now we're going to use scatter plots in order to build a curve fit for these sets of data. So we go to the Insert tab, say we want a scatter plot. Just drag that over here to keep things organized, and then quick layout, pull it down and choose the FX button. Once here, we are going to double click on the line, and we can choose what different kinds of fits that we would like. It looks like there's a little bit of a curve to it, so I'm going to say I want a polynomial fit of order 2. Drag the equation over so I can actually see it. And I will repeat that for my next 3 attributes as well. As you can see here, I now have each of the scatter plots and the best fit lines for all 4 of my attributes. However, before going any farther, I want to bring my attributes and levels over here, just so I can see them all on the same screen. So I'm going to start out with price and the number of coffee sizes from the profit model, and I'll just bring those over here. Market model. And then from the engineering model, I'm going to get the time to warm up muffin right here. And the time to brew coffee. Let's see, where is that? Time to brew coffee. And then the time to brew coffee, also from the engineering model. Time to heat water. And then this should be a parameter, but for right now I'm just going to type it in that I think it'll take about a minute after we're done heating water to brew the coffee. And so these are now all represented on the marketing page. And just for good bookkeeping, I'm going to change these to yellow cells, which indicate transferred values that we do not want to directly change. After we have all of our attributes and levels on the same page, we want to be able to use those and plug them into our equations here on the best fit plot in order to calculate what each of the individual part worths are that we will put on the right hand side here. So let's start out with time to warm the muffin. According to our plot, the part worth of the time to heat muffin can be calculated as calculated with this formula right there. So time to heat muffin And so we can see now, with a 9-minute time to heat up the muffin, we have a part worth of about 9.5. So let's just check that here, about 9, trace it up, and it's hard to tell, but it seems to be that an estimate of about 9.5 seems reasonable. So I will now continue down and do that for the rest of our attributes here, as well as as well as include this equation that I used here on the cell to the right, just for good bookkeeping. Now that we have calculated each of the part worths for each of our attributes, we now want to update our simple demand model to reflect these part worths. So we'll begin by clearing all of the contents in the upper left-hand corner here. And beginning to set up the framework to make our final market size model here. And that will be used to actually build our market size model that is shown here in the version that Dr. McDonald demonstrated to the class on Thursday. After setting up this block here, the first step that we want to take is to actually calculate our product's utility. So we will do that by summing each of the part worths that we had found in the last step. So just adding each of these blue boxes here, except for the part worth of not choosing any, which we will put in the box right below it, right here. In order to see how much of the market we would actually capture, is this right? I'm going to change our price to be a little bit more. I'm not going to change the price there. I'm going to go back to our profit model and change the price down to something a little bit more reasonable. Let's say 80. After we have set up this block here, the first step that we want to do is calculate our product's utility by adding up each of the part worths. And these are represented by the blue boxes that we had found in the previous step. So just going through and adding each of those here, and that will give us our product's utility. Then in the box below it, we want to fill in the utility of not choosing anything. And we can see here that these values accurately represent what we had done previously. To finalize this model now, we want to figure the percentage of the market that our product is actually going to be taking. So to do that, we will do our exponential function here that sums that uses the values found in the previous step. So I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick here, so I'm getting a little bit coffee. And we see that with a price of $60, we are capturing 100% of the expected market. That might seem a little bit high. Let's change that to be a little bit of a higher number. And now we see that with a price of $75, we now don't calculate anything. Oh, now we see with a price of $75, we actually don't capture any of the markets. So we know that there's a sweet spot somewhere in the center there that will make our capture lie a little bit more realistically. Although maybe if you have a great product, 100. So this video just very briefly walked you through each of the steps that you'll need to go through in order to take the information generated on Sawtooth and bring it into your Excel spreadsheet. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact Dr. MacDonald or Oliver and I. We wish you the best luck, and don't hesitate to contact us if you do have questions. Thanks.